Today, we will examine data more carefully. We encounter data whenever we answer surveys, record attendance, measure temperature, check scores, or compare preferences. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to distinguish qualitative data from quantitative data. You should also be able to classify quantitative data as discrete or continuous. After that, we will study the four levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Most importantly, you will not simply give a classification. You will learn how to defend your answer by examining order, equal intervals, and meaning of zero. Our goal is to move from guessing to reasoning. But before this, let us answer the extra problem I gave in our previous lesson. Anna works as a sales representative for a retail company. Her monthly commission is based on the total value of the sales she makes during the month. The company uses a progressive commission system. She earns 3% on the first 50,000 pesos of sales, 5% on the portion of sales from 50,001 pesos to 100,000 pesos, and 8% on any portion of sales exceeding 100,000 pesos. In 1 month, Anna makes 120,000 pesos in total sales. How much commission does Anna earn for the month? Let us create a piecewise function for this problem. I'm going to use C of X, C for commission. It says here, she earns 3% on the first 50,000 of sales. So C of X is equal to 0.03X. This is 3%. And that is for less than or equal to 50,000 but greater than or equal to 0. Next, 5% on the portion of sales from 50,001 to 100,000 pesos. So C of X is equal to 1,500 plus 0.05 times the quantity X minus 50,000. You might ask me, where does 1,500 come from? Remember that for the first 50,000, she is entitled to a 3% commission. So 50,000 times 0.03 is 1,500. And this condition is for 50,001 to 100,000. So meaning X is less than or equal to 100,000 but greater than 50,000. Greater than 50,000, meaning from 50,001, round up to the nearest peso. And last one, an 8% on any portion of sales exceeding 100,000. C of X would be 4,000 plus 0.08 times the quantity X minus 100,000. Where does 4,000 come from? Remember, for the first 50,000, 3%, that is 1,500. For the next 50,000, 50,000 to 100,000, 5%. And 5% of 100,000 is 2,500. So 1,500 for the first 50,000, then 2,500 for the next 50,000. That is 4,000 pesos. And this is for sales exceeding 100,000. X is greater than 100,000. Anna has 120,000 pesos in total sales. Since 120,000 is greater than 100,000, we're going to make use of this condition. I'm going to substitute 120,000 for X. So C of 120,000 is equal to 4,000 plus 0.08 times 120,000 minus 100,000. 120,000 minus 100,000 is 20,000. Multiplied to 0.08, 1,600 plus 4,000 is 5,600. Anna's commission for the month is 5,600 pesos. Remember, Anna is a sales representative and her commission is progressive. This means she does not earn one rate on all her sales. She earns 3% for the first 50,000, 5% for the next 50,000, and 8% for the amount exceeding 100,000. Because this is a progressive commission, the 8% rate applies only to the portion above 100,000, not the entire 120,000. I hope you got this correct. Now let us begin our new lesson with a pattern finding activity called What's the Common Trend? Study the variables in each column. Do not worry about naming the columns yet. Instead, determine what the variables in each column have in common. In column 1, we have favorite color, blood type, favorite subject, and LRN, learner's reference number. What do these variables do? They mainly identify or name. In column 2, we have satisfaction rating, educational attainment, finishing position, and class rank. What special property do these variables have? They can be arranged in a meaningful order. In column 3, we have temperature in degrees Celsius, calendar year, time on a clock, and also temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. The differences between these values are meaningful. In column 4, we have height, number of siblings, monthly allowance, and weight. These quantities have a meaningful zero. Keep these four patterns in mind. We will soon attach mathematical names to them. Before we classify data, let us unlock three important terms. First is statistics. Statistics is the branch of mathematics concerned with collecting, organizing, presenting, analyzing, and interpreting data. Statistics help us turn raw information into meaningful conclusions. Second is data. Data are facts or pieces of information collected to answer a question or support a decision. Third is variable. A variable is a characteristic that can have different values or categories. For example, suppose we study grade 11 learners. Academic strand is a variable because the responses may be academic or tech pro. Travel time is also a variable because different learners may have different travel times. The variable is what we observe. The recorded response is the data value. Data can first be classified into two major types, qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative data is also known as categorical data, data that describes qualities, characteristics, labels, or categories. Qualitative data normally answer the question what kind or which category. For example, if I ask what mode of transportation do you use and a learner answers bus, the response is qualitative. Quantitative data is also known as numerical data. Quantitative data represent counts or measurements. Quantitative data normally answers the question how many or how much. For example, if the learner's travel time is 35 minutes, the response is quantitative because it represents a numerical duration. Let's see how well you can detect the type of data. Classify each variable as qualitative or quantitative. Academic strand is qualitative because strands are categories, QL. Number of absences is quantitative because absences are counted, QN. Preferred learning modality is qualitative because the responses are categories, QL. Class rank is qualitative because the numbers represent ordered positions rather than measurable amounts. QL. Time of first class is quantitative because it is recorded numerically. So, QN. Daily school allowance is quantitative because it represents an amount. QN. Learner's reference number or LRN is qualitative because it identifies a learner, QL. Classroom temperature in degrees Celsius is quantitative because temperature is measured, QN. Type of exam is qualitative because exams are categories, QL. Last one, elapsed time answering an exam is quantitative because duration is measured, QN. Notice that we always ask what the value represents, not merely whether it contains words or numbers, because a number is not automatically quantitative. Quantitative data can be further classified as discrete or continuous. Discrete data is often obtained by counting. The values are distinct, separate, and usually expressed as whole numbers. There are gaps between the values. It usually answers the question, how many? The possible values can usually be listed or counted. The number of siblings is discrete because a learner may have 0, 1, 2, or 3 siblings, but not 2.6 siblings. The next one is the continuous data, often obtained by measuring. The values may take any value within a given range, including decimals. It usually answers the questions how much, how long, or how heavy. The possible values cannot all be listed because infinitely many values may exist between two measurements. Height is a continuous because between 165 centimeters and 166 centimeters, many more precise values are possible, just like 165.4. The shortcut here is that discrete data are usually counted, while continuous data are usually measured. Let's have an activity. Classify each variable as discrete or continuous. Write D for discrete data and C for continuous data. Focus on the quantity being described. Number one, the number of students present in your classroom is discrete because students are counted. Number two, the mass of a sack of rice recorded as 25 kilograms is continuous. The value may be written as a whole number, but mass can be measured more precisely. Number three, the number of mathematics problems you answered correctly. This is discrete because correct responses are counted. Number four, the actual distance you traveled during the trip. This is continuous because distance can take any value within a range. Number five, the number of learners whose height is greater than 160 centimeters. This is discrete. Remember, we're talking of number of learners, and learners are counted. Number six, the number of 20 peso bills inside your wallet is discrete. You can count how many 20 peso bills you have. Next one, amount of money in a wallet. This one is tricky. You might think there is decimal, there is centavos. For example, 150 and 68 centavos. But amount of money is discrete. Remember that you count your money, you do not measure it. And although there is decimal, that is an exact amount. Number eight, the number of drops of liquid medicine given to a patient. This is discrete. We're talking about number of drops. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops. Number nine, the number of kilometer markers you pass during a trip. This is also discrete. Again, we're talking of the number of kilometer markers. And last one, the elapsed time between the beginning and end of your math class. This one is continuous because time can be measured with increasing precision: minutes, seconds, milliseconds, nanoseconds. The lesson is simple but important. Identify exactly what is being counted or measured. Now we are ready for the 4 levels of measurement. Imagine that our data can move up a ladder. The first level, we can simply name or label. At the second level, we can put things in order. At the third level, the differences between values become meaningful. And at the fourth level, we have a true zero. So ratios become meaningful. So each level adds something. As we move from nominal to ratio, the variables provide additional measurement properties. Ratio is not better than nominal. The appropriate level depends on the nature of the variable. For instance, blood type should remain nominal because blood types are categories. We should not force a variable into a higher level when the required properties are absent. Let's see exactly what each level gives us. Remember our activity at the start? For the column 1, we have the favorite color, blood type, favorite subject, and LRN. And this usually used for naming or identifying. Data such as this are in nominal level. Nominal comes from the idea of a name. These data are labels or categories. There is no meaningful ranking. Favorite color is nominal. Red cannot be meaningfully ranked above blue. Blood type is nominal. Type A is not higher or lower than type B. So we cannot imply order or ranking. Favorite subject is nominal because the subject names are categories. An LRN is also a nominal. Even though LRN is written using digits, the digits only identify a learner. Numbers used only as identifiers can still be nominal, just like the LRN. To determine if it is in nominal level, you may want to ask yourself 2 questions. Are values simply different categories? And can no category be meaningfully placed above another? If the answer to both questions is yes, think nominal. Nominal equals name. Let's have some more examples. We could have strand, mode of transportation, region, and others. Now let's move to the second level. In column 2, we have the satisfaction rating, educational attainment, finishing position, and class rank. So what did we notice earlier? This can be ranked or arranged. Data such as this are in ordinal level. Ordinal data can be meaningfully arranged or ranked. Satisfaction rating may be arranged from very dissatisfied to very satisfied. Educational attainment may be arranged according to the highest level completed. Finishing position and class rank have a clear order. However, ordinal data do not guarantee equal gaps. The order is meaningful, but the differences between ranks are not measured. For example, the difference in performance between first and second place may not equal the difference between the second and third place. Similarly, the difference between satisfied and very satisfied cannot automatically be treated as the same as the difference between neutral and satisfied. To test whether data is in ordinal level, you may ask these questions. Can values be arranged from lower to higher? And are the gaps between ranks unknown or unequal? If the answer to both questions is yes, think ordinal. Ordinal equals order. Let's have some more examples such as shirt size, socio-economic category, contest placement, and others. Let's have the third level. So for column 3, earlier we had temperature in degrees Celsius, calendar years, time on a clock, and temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. And we have established that equal differences between values are meaningful. Data such as these are in interval level. Interval data have meaningful order and equal intervals. The difference between 20 degrees Celsius and 30 degrees Celsius is the same temperature difference as the difference between 30 degrees Celsius and 40 degrees Celsius. So, the intervals are meaningful. However, interval data do not have a true zero. 0 degrees Celsius does not mean the complete absence of temperature. Actually, it's cold if it is 0 degrees. So there is still a temperature. That is why we may say that 30 degrees Celsius is 10 degrees warmer than 20 degrees Celsius. But we should not say that 30 degrees Celsius is 1.5 times as hot as 20 degrees Celsius. Calendar years are also interval. The difference between 2010 and 2020 is 10 years. But the year number does not represent an amount with a true zero. Time on a clock or time of day is interval as well. The difference between 8 o'clock a.m. and 10 o'clock a.m. is meaningful. But 4 o'clock p.m. is not twice 2 o'clock p.m. For interval data, subtraction is meaningful, but ratio statements are not. Our test questions for interval level are equal differences meaningful? Does zero fail to mean none? If the answer to these questions are both yes, then it is interval level. Let's have some more examples. We could have IQ score, college entrance exam scaled scores, the standardized scores, and elevation relative to sea level. For example, 0 meters does not mean absence of distance. It is at sea level. Finally, column 4, we have height, number of siblings, monthly allowance, weight. We established earlier that this has true zero and meaningful ratios. Data such as this are in ratio level. Ratio data have everything interval data have plus one important feature, and that is a true or absolute zero. Zero means none or absence of the measured quantity. 0 minutes of travel time means no travel time occurred. 0 kilograms means no mass of the object under consideration. 0 siblings means the learner has no siblings. 0 pesos of allowance means no allowance was received. Because zero is meaningful, ratios become meaningful too. For example, 40,000 pesos is twice 20,000 pesos. 4 hours is twice 2 hours. So ratios are meaningful. If you want to determine if data is in ratio level, ask yourself these questions. Are equal differences meaningful, just like in interval? Does zero mean none of the quantity? If the answer to both questions is yes, then the data is in ratio level. Let's have some more examples. We could have allowance, travel time, and income. Remember, ratio equals interval plus true zero. Here is a fast classification flow for you. Here's a tool you can use whenever you're unsure. Ask these questions in order. First, is it mainly a label or name? If yes, nominal. Second, can it be meaningfully ranked? If yes, ordinal. Third, are equal differences meaningful but there is no true zero? That is interval. And finally, is there a true zero and are ratios meaningful? That's ratio. This is your classification decision tree. And again, don't classify based on appearance. Classify based on meaning. Now we will classify each variable and justify our answer. Number 1, preferred learning modality. This is qualitative. And the level is Nominal. Why is that? Because preferred learning modality are categories and there is no order. Next one, daily temperature in degrees Celsius is quantitative. Level, it's interval because differences are meaningful, but 0 degrees Celsius is not an absolute absence of temperature. Next one, hours spent studying is quantitative, and the level is ratio because elapsed time has a meaningful 0. 0 hours means no study time. Number 4, barangay rating from 1 to 5. This is qualitative and the level is ordinal. The responses are ordered but the gap from 1 to 2 is not guaranteed to equal the gap from 4 to 5. Next one is student ID number is qualitative and this is nominal because it serves only as an identifier. Next one, rice consumed per week is quantitative and the level is ratio because it is measurable amount with a meaningful 0. Students usually have problem with interval and ratio. So let's answer this extra challenge and again we're going to defend our answer. Statement 1, a learner ranked second is twice as successful as a learner ranked fourth. This is thumbs up or thumbs down. This is thumbs down. This is false. Rank is ordinal. Second place is ahead of fourth place, but the numerical positions do not measure the amount of success. Next one, 30 degrees Celsius is 3 times as hot as 10 degrees Celsius. This is thumbs down. Again, this is false. Celsius temperature is interval. The difference is meaningful, but a ratio statement is not. Third one, 2020 is twice 2010. So calendar years are ratio data. This is again, thumbs down. Calendar years are interval. The year numbers identify locations on timeline, not quantities that may be compared by ratios. Fourth, a student who studies for 6 hours studies twice as long as one who studies for 3 hours. Thumbs down, thumbs up. This one is thumbs up. This is true because elapsed time is ratio. 0 hours means no study time and 6 hours is twice 3 hours. Last one, 4 p.m. is twice 2 p.m. So time of day is ratio data. This is thumbs down. This is false because time of day is interval, not ratio. 4 p.m. is not twice 2 p.m. Always test the meaning of 0 before making a twice as much statement. For the summary, here are the things that we discussed in this lesson. Take time to understand this. Now, it is time to check your understanding. Pause this video for more time. Let us answer. The Student Council conducted a survey of grade 11 learners to help improve school services. For each learner, they recorded the following information: student ID number, preferred school activity, satisfaction rating from 1 to 5, classroom temperature in degrees Celsius, number of absences, and monthly allowance. Questions. Letter A. Which variables are qualitative and which are quantitative? And letter B. Identify the level of measurement of each variable. I'm going to create a table for this one. Student ID number is qualitative. Preferred school activity is also qualitative. Satisfaction rating from 1 to 5, also qualitative. Classroom temperature in degrees Celsius, quantitative. Number of absences, quantitative. Monthly allowance, quantitative. Now, for the level of measurement, school ID number is nominal. Preferred school activity is also nominal. Satisfaction rating is ordinal. Classroom temperature in degrees Celsius, interval. Number of absences, ratio. And monthly allowance is also ratio. Gets? If you find this lesson helpful, don't forget to hit the like button and leave a comment, share to reach more learners, and subscribe to support the channel. For you to truly master this lesson, here is an extra problem for you to work on. Watch out for my next video where I reveal the answers. Keep practicing, keep learning, and as always, you've got this with Mom C-Cube. Our next lesson is understanding measures of central tendency.